Welcome to Rock Your Reinvention, where I help high-achieving career women like you get unstuck, make your corporate exit strategy, and successfully transition to your next chapter. Hi, I'm your host, Karen Freeland, a certified life coach and corporate exit strategist. Whether you want to start a business, become a speaker, or something else, I'm here to give you the tools and strategies to shift your mindset, build your confidence, and take bold actions so you can rock your reinvention. Ready? Let's go. Welcome back to Rock Your Reinvention. If you're thinking about leaving corporate, you might be holding on to beliefs that worked in that environment, but are sabotaging your success and happiness now. Today, I'm sharing 5 beliefs you need to let go of and what you need to replace them with if you want to achieve your entrepreneur dreams. I know that this isn't going to happen overnight, so give yourself plenty of grace. But if you take the right actions, you have the right awareness about this, you're going to be able to overcome all of these sabotaging thoughts. So here we go. Belief number 1, the harder and longer I work, the more successful I'll be. And that probably makes sense to you. After all, corporate culture rewards long hours. It rewards the grind. You've probably been very successful using this strategy. I remember coming into work one day and complaining about how I was up at midnight, emailing the guys from McKinsey. It's a big consulting firm that we work with a lot in the tech industry. And one of the guys looked at me dead in the eye and he goes, "Yeah, well, I worked until 3 a.m. So I slept here last night." And I was like, "Wait, you what? You slept in the office?" And part of me was thinking like, what an idiot. No wonder you're divorced. And part of me was filled with dread. Is that what I have to do to get a director title? Is that what I have to do to get ahead? But as an entrepreneur, success comes from working smarter, not harder. It comes from knowing when to delegate and when to get support. It comes from knowing when enough is enough. And I learned this very early on in my entrepreneur journey. I was trying to do it all and be everything to everyone. And that meant insanely long hours, endless hours on social media, going on pretty much any podcast that would have me. But I very quickly realized all that activity, all those long hours weren't actually giving me the desired output. And I was spread way too thin and running out of hours in the day. I mean, I literally couldn't even do anything more because there was no more time. And when I started to focus my energy, work less, but more intentionally, that's when things really started to click for me, and they will for you too. So here's your new belief. I create success by focusing on results, not time at my desk. Okay, belief number 2 that you need to let go of is that busy means productive. I know you sit on back-to-back conference calls all day. That's how corporate operates. You have to have a meeting about anything. And God forbid you have an opening on your calendar. Well, geez, you must not be working hard enough. You must need some more work. In corporate, filling your calendar looks good. However, in business, busyness without focus equals burnout. It equals lack of creativity, lack of brain space to problem solve. Not to mention, it's a waste of energy and will only leave you feeling frustrated. I did a podcast episode a while back called 4 Reasons to Break Up with Busy. It's number 28. If busyness is your MO, go check this out because it's really going to help you let go of this concept that busy is good, that busy is somehow productive. It's not. It's just busy. If you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you need to be mindful of your time and what you're working on is actually moving the needle. I'm a big fan of time blocking, saying no when something isn't aligned to your goals, doing things in batches, like sitting down and writing a bunch of your social content at one time versus trying to multitask and constantly switching back and forth. And of course, I advocate for getting a coach to help hold you accountable. One of the things that I consistently help my business clients do is to focus on revenue generating activities, because left to our own devices, right, there's always a shiny new object to go chase. But that doesn't mean that you need to chase it, because it might not actually be putting money in your pocket. And this is a business. And so we actually want to be profitable from that business. I don't do hobby businesses, and I don't advocate that you do them either. So here's your new belief. I measure productivity by impact, not activity. Impact, not activity. All right. Belief number 3. To be successful, I have to sacrifice my health, my family, my friendships. And no wonder you think that. That's how you've operated over the past decade, maybe even 2 decades or more. Because corporate glamorizes hustle and burnout. I literally had a client tell me she didn't think she could take a step up at her company and stay married. That's a problem. And we're far too willing to chase titles and paychecks and give up our personal lives. I'm not with that. And I'm not judging anyone, because I was once there too. But once I realized and my eyes were opened, I can't go back. I can't live like that again. Sacrifice cost me a lot of things. But of all the things, it really robbed me of my motherhood and my friends the most. Now, I've always worked over an hour away from my home. So big, long commutes every day, lots of windshield time. And I could never really make friends at work, because after work, everybody would be going to happy hour and hanging out together. And all I wanted to do was go home and see my family. I'd been gone for so long that day. And by the time I commuted home and I was exhausted and stressed from all the traffic, I'd have dinner, give the kids a bath, and then get back on my laptop. There was no time for me to do anything, let alone the energy to spend with other moms or friends. So I went through that whole time in my life feeling completely isolated. And that's just one example of about 1,000 that I could share. But you don't have to sacrifice anymore. Because in entrepreneurship, you have the power to design a business that honors your values and lifestyle. I can go to a networking lunch in the middle of the day. I can have coffee with another mom one morning after the school drop off. I can volunteer on a random Friday, right? I'm in control of my time and my energy. I don't have to sacrifice anything, not my health, not my friends, not being a mom. It's all part of my schedule. There's enough of me to go around. And I never felt like there was enough of me to go around when I was on corporate. So here's your new belief. True success includes my well-being and relationships. You're going to love that one. All right. Belief number 4 that you've got to get rid of, that is holding you back from your entrepreneur dreams, is I always need to be scaling and growing. This one might surprise you a little bit. See, in corporate, they love year-over-year growth, right? And in corporate, you're only as good as your last month or your last quarter. If sales are down, brand recognition is down, leads are down, customer satisfaction is down, I don't know, whatever department you're in, right? If something's down, then you must be wrong. If it's flat, you must be doing something wrong. And that is not necessarily true. I worked with a marketing director who was at a well-known consumer goods brand. And in that role, she always had to be increasing the revenue that was coming through the website. And every year her targets went up. Well, now she's in a position in her side hustle where she's doing quite well, but she feels like she has to constantly outperform her previous year. And if she doesn't, she feels like she's failing. That's one of the mindset things that we had to work on together and that I get to do with my clients. I helped her see there's nothing wrong with staying at the same level if that's all you need to bring in. Sometimes enough is truly enough. Sometimes flat or even going down in sales, maybe not serving as many clients because you want to use more time for something else in your life, that's okay. That's still a healthy business. Growth in entrepreneurship isn't always linear. Sometimes stability, creativity, or freedom is the actual win. And you're not going to hear a lot of other coaches telling you this, right? Talk to any business coach and they're going to talk all about scaling and growing and doing more sales. And oh my gosh, we're right back in corporate where we constantly have to outdo ourselves. No, thank you. I'm not going to grow just for the sake of it. If I'm growing, there is a very specific reason why. So here's your new belief. I define growth on my own terms. And belief number 5 that you need to overcome if you want to achieve your entrepreneur dreams, this belief that is preventing you and sabotaging you, is my worth is tied to my paycheck or title. And I know you've heard me talk about this on the show before if you have listened to other episodes, but this is hands down one of the hardest for the women I coach to overcome, so it bears repeating. It takes a lot of reconditioning and mindset work to shift this belief. In corporate, your identity is often wrapped up in your compensation and the level of the role that you've achieved, or AKA your status. It's what determines if you get invited to a meeting or not. It's what determines if you are on the inside, what information you get, or if you're the last to know and leaves you on the outside. It's what determines your benefits and what privileges you have. So when you leave, you may feel lost, unworthy, or even ashamed without those things. It can feel like a big loss of identity. Who am I without the big title? Who am I without the paycheck? But here is why I love entrepreneurship so much. Because being a business owner allows you to root your worth in who you are and the value you bring. Not external labels. External labels that, by the way, at the end of the day, really mean nothing. And quite frankly, a VP has no more value or worth than a telephone sales rep. And I know that might be hard to hear, but we are all human beings worthy of love and dignity. I don't care what your job title is or how much money you make. It creates a false sense of importance and pride when we believe that. And that's not good for anyone. So here's your new belief if you choose to accept it. My worth is inherent. It isn't defined by a paycheck or title. So there you have it. 5 beliefs. Let's recap them quickly that you need to let go of because they are sabotaging your success as an entrepreneur. The first belief is the harder and longer I work, the more successful I'll be. False. Busy means productive. Absolutely not. To be successful, I have to sacrifice my health, my family, and my friendships. We're not doing that anymore. Number 4, I always need to be scaling and growing. You don't unless you really want to be, but you don't have to. And number 5, my worth is tied to my paycheck or title. It doesn't have to be. You now have the freedom to change all of those beliefs. So, which of these are you still holding on to? Which one are you ready to release? Hopefully all of them, but let's be real, this is a process. You're not going to tackle them all at once. So just pick one to start, maybe the one that's the biggest pain point for you. That's how you begin to rock your reinvention. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're inspired to take action by committing to one of the tips or strategies we talked about in today's episode. If you want more accountability and support, I've got your back. Book a complimentary Empowered Exit Strategy call today. Visit KarenFreeland.com to learn more and book your 45-minute session. Until next time, stay fabulous.